It's
Let's
now
ride.
time for the words that are recited before each and every game here at Dodger Stadium. Take it away, Finn.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
What is going on, Dodgers fans? This is Kevin Klein. I'm back after a week off in Italy. Your Los Angeles Dodgers, 50 games through the books now. Your Dodgers are 33-17. Face value, that would be a great start for the Dodgers, but they're coming off a 3-game series sweep where the Pittsburgh Pirates have defeated the Dodgers. I can't believe I'm actually saying that the Pirates swept the Dodgers at home in Dodger Stadium. It's the first time the Dodgers have been swept at home in a 3 games or more series since 2018. And the last time they've lost a season series in its entirety to the Pirates, you got to go back to 2016. Dodgers fall tonight 8-4 to the Pirates in what kind of was a blowout. We got a lot to get into, but what a disappointment. Let me pass the torch over to David Rosenthal to get his thoughts on the Dodgers play thus far.
Well, first of all, welcome back, Kevin. I hope your gallivanting around Italy was fun. We missed you last week. Secondly, that was a complete shit show. That was the equivalent of last year's series at Wrigley Field against the Cubs when they played that doubleheader and everything went wrong, and then they played another game and it was raining and it was just awful. We all are worse off human beings for watching that 3-game series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. We all feel worse about ourselves. We wasted our time. It was a complete disgrace to the game of baseball. And secondly, the Pirates manager is like straight out of the 1920s. I've never seen more bunting. I haven't seen a reliever ever, a closer ever, throw 50 pitches in a game. I mean, this guy was just teleported into the 2020s, I guess, from 1920. Overall, awful. I did not enjoy any of that series whatsoever.
Jake Reiner, how's it going? Let's hear your thoughts on the Dodgers being swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates.
There are 2 silver linings here, gentlemen. One, the Dodgers will never have to face the Pittsburgh Pirates again in the regular season. By some miracle, they make the playoffs. We'll talk about that then. Number 2 is the fact that the San Diego Padres have been playing even worse than the Dodgers over this stretch, and they haven't gained any ground in the standings. So that's the good news. Everything else is terrible. You had the Kimbrel blown save after the Dodgers clawed back and Justin Turner had a clutch hit. You thought the momentum was swinging in the Dodgers' favor. Then Kimbrel comes in, his first appearance with a 1-run lead. It did not go well at all. The Dodgers end up losing that series. And to David's point about David Bednar, going 2 innings, he blew the save in the initial inning and then came back out to get the win, which was quite interesting. And then the rest of the 2 games, when Walker Buehler and Julio Urias put you down 4-0 right off the bat in the very beginning, it's tough to come back just in general. And the Dodgers were able to come back in game 1, weren't so much able to come back in game 2. And then game 3, they had so many opportunities to win that game or to at least take the lead, and they just could not do it. They could not execute with runners on base, less than 2 outs, runners in scoring position. They fell absolutely flat.
The Dodgers as a whole this series hit a total of 5 for 28 with runners in scoring position. They fell flat on their face in the last game. They went 3 for 12. That 5 for 28 equates to a 178 batting average. The base running was also horrendous as well. We saw Chris Taylor try to stretch going from first to third. He was thrown out. Gavin Lux, I don't know if that was on Dino or Lux, but a shallow center field flyout to Brian Reynolds. He got thrown out at the plate. Among others, I believe some guys were picked off in the earlier games. I think Freeman had one in the second game where he tried to stretch a single into a double, was thrown out. So I don't know if the Dodgers need to hire Chase Utley as their base running consultant, because right now it's looking really bad in terms of their base running IQ.
I agree with you on everything you just said, except for the Lux one. The only thing that I thought in that moment was they're not scoring anyway, so let's just try and make something happen. The Pirates had to make a perfect throw to get him, and Lux has a lot of speed, so I didn't hate that one as much as you did. But yeah, overall, the base running, what is going on? Especially the pickoffs too. There was like 4 pickoffs in one game, I think.
He ain't Usain Bolt, and you don't give out runs at home plate. You just don't do it.
I just felt like the way that the Dodgers just weren't coming through in those spots, just, I don't know, take a chance in that position.
All right, well, let's go back into the starting pitching was not good. Urias and Buehler, disappointing outings for sure. But I want to get into this Craig Kimbrel blown save because we actually had a couple questions regarding Kimbrel. Is this a reliever that you can trust as the closer moving forward? That's one of the questions. I got to give a shout out to the listeners in a second, but let's just start with what's going on with Kimbrel recently. Over his last 7 games, he's got a 9.95 ERA. It seems like he's giving up runs in just about every appearance as of late. In the month of May, he was pretty bad. He had a 6.30 ERA. For the season, he's got a 4.80 ERA, a 1.40 whip. That's over 15 innings. The strikeouts are there, but I don't know. Craig Kimbrel, every time out thus far, or the last 2 weeks or so, has been pretty shaky.
He's not been good. My level of concern for Craig Kimbrel is about a 5 right now. I think he's good enough to right the ship. I think he deserves a little bit of a break just because he hasn't really been pitching in save situations that much in general. He's kind of had long stretches where he hasn't pitched back to back, and all of a sudden have to pitch back to back. So I think it would benefit him to get in games more. Granted, I'd rather the Dodgers win by 10 every game, but it's a long season. It's still, it's June 1st, so he's got a long way to go. And I think he's in the right spot to right the ship in terms of the Dodgers pitching coaches and staff.
Yeah, I have a pretty high level of concern here, only because with the injury to Trinan, they moved into the 60-day IL. The Dodgers need help in that bullpen. I don't fully trust Craig Kimbrel or Daniel Hudson for that matter. I mean, Daniel Hudson has been shaky at times, so I don't really trust either of them with my full confidence. They need some reinforcements badly because, especially with Craig Kimbrel, he needs at least a 2 to 3 run lead, a cushion to come in, and sometimes a 4-run lead in order for him to get the save. And we saw what happened with his first appearance with a 1-run lead, and he blew it. It doesn't look like he has full command of his pitches. He's a little wild, and he's just been hittable too.
Yeah. So the 2 questions regarding Kimbrel come from at Dodge16_12. Should we be worried about Kimbrel? And at Dodger1214. What do they do at closer? It's become clear that Kimbrel cannot be counted as the guy moving forward. I think it's still a little too early in the season to jump to that conclusion.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he's only blown 1 save. He's 10 for 11. We need to see at least another month's worth before we start talking about a change at closer, because I'm with Jake. I don't think they have a clear-cut replacement at closer yet. I don't think Daniel Hudson can just outright start closing all the games for them. And then Brusdar Graterol, I think he is better suited for a middle to late inning relief role, but not necessarily the 9th inning. I think that might cause him to fold under pressure. But I mean, I'm looking at the advanced stats with Kimbrel, and it appears that he's a little bit unlucky. He has an expected ERA of 2.70 on the season, an expected batting average of 174 opponents against. It seems like a lot of the hits that come off him are just kind of lightly hit, kind of soft contact that somehow roll into doubles and triples for whatever reason. So he's not really giving up the long ball, so that's good overall. So I think it's just got to give another month. And yeah, as we get closer to the trade deadline, that's when we start to talk about maybe we get some reinforcements.
Yeah, I mean, they have no long-term commitment to him. He's a free agent after this year. They can cut ties with him or not, or remove him from the closer role at any point. There's no, long-term catch Craig Kimbrel. if you, it's Stanley Jansen situation. So it's going to be fluid if he continues to struggle. But as of now, I think you just let it ride, and I think that's what they're going to do. So real quick, do you guys know when the last time the Pirates swept the Dodgers was?
I do. So
When?
I'm not going to say it.
Say it.
They said it on the TV.
It was
they did?
2000, right?
Okay, I got a trivia question for you. Name the 3 Dodgers starters who pitched in that 3-game series.
Was it Kevin Brown?
Nope.
Was it Chan-Ho Park?
Nope.
Was it Ismael Valdez?
1 for 3.
Was it Carlos Perez?
2 for 4. Give me one more. I'll give you a hint. Big contract.
Darren Dreifert.
There you go. Darren Dreifert gave up 7 earned runs in 4 innings. Carlos Perez gave up 5 in 3 innings, and Ishmael Valdez also shit the bed. So
Yeah, those are the 3 worst starters on that team.
yep, little Brian Goodwin, Mark Grudzielanek, Gary Sheffield, Eric Karros, who was in the booth tonight and needs to shut up for the foreseeable future. Let's get Dontrell Willis back out there, man. It sounded like he wanted to make out with Key Brian Hayes out there. Anyway, Sean Green, Dave Hansen, Adrian Beltre, Todd Hundley, Alex Cora.
Well,
That team wasn't very good anyway.
to Karras and Hayes' credit, Key Brian Hayes was just fantastic on defense this entire series, and I would
The whole Pirates team was.
Yeah.
I would love to see the Dodgers get some defensive prowess like that in the hot corner, because we don't have that spark. It's been a few years now.
The Pirates not only owned us on defense in this series, but also the one in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
Yep.
we went 1-5 for this season against the Pirates. That is just unacceptable. Michael Chavis killed us. He went 8 for 17 with a number of extra base hits, and
Ryan Reynolds.
and then some no names just hitting home runs out of nowhere. I can't even name drop the guys because they're just so irrelevant, but maybe they're going to be future stars.
Fun fact, Jimmy Anderson, 9-inning complete game, 1 earned run in that 2000 series.
Who else pitched for the Pirates? Was Schmidt on that team?
Let me see. Jimmy Anderson was game 1. Game 2 was Silva. I think Carlos Silva kind of shoved. And game 3 was
Not Mike Schmidt. What am I talking about? Jason Schmidt.
Yeah,
That's
I knew what you meant. Yeah. Didn't even bother correcting you. Mike Schmidt. Game 3 was some fool named Serafini. That's about all I know.
Yeah. That was Jason Kendall Pirates, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. No Barry Bonds, though.
Nope.
Yep.
Little Brian Giles, though. Yeah, Brian Giles.
It's like Jack Wilson, too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't know why we're so stuck on this 2000 Pirates team. Both those teams were actually
Nostalgia.
No,
Ken
22 years ago.
some bad teams. Anything else you want to talk about with this awful series, or can I move on?
No, can we just flush this down the toilet and never speak of it again?
All right, cool. Let's highlight the month of May overall for the Dodgers. They went 20-9 in the month. Mookie Betts was just on another level. 12 home runs, 27 RBIs. He had 10 doubles. He hit 342, which it equals out to 39 hits. Scored 31 runs, a 1,157 OPS. I think he had a number of Dodgers records too. It was like tied or broke the most runs in a single month for the Dodgers. I think his 12 home runs was the most he's ever hit in a single month for his entire career. And then Mookie Betts in this meaningless 9th inning hits another home run. So he's up to 16 home runs on the season now. In my opinion, he's the front runner for the MVP. Just great stuff from Mookie Betts thus far in 2022. And probably with that home run now, he pushes his WAR for this season 50 games in. I bet that's a WAR higher than his 2021 season overall now, which was 3.5. I think he's probably up to 3.6 now in 2022, and there's still 112 games left.
You know what's crazy to me is that Mookie Betts is on fire. Paul Goldschmidt is on fire. And yet it was Francisco Lindor that won Player of the Week in the National League, which I don't understand that at all.
Because all those idiots go to bed. They don't watch the West Coast games.
It's crazy to me. But yeah, Mookie Betts has been so fun to watch, not only for his hitting, but his defense and his base running has actually been quite adequate. He's just coming through when the Dodgers need him to on most nights. And this is the Mookie Betts that we all traded for when we didn't trade for him, but like when Andrew Friedman traded for him, this is the version of Mookie Betts that we envisioned.
And that's what we were talking about a few weeks ago when he was really struggling in April. Kevin was the one of the three of us who stuck with him the most. Me and Jake were kind of a little bit worried. We didn't raise the panic button fully.
It was 11 games in.
It was more than 11 games in.
No, it wasn't. I went back and listened.
No. It was more than 11 games in.
I went back and listened.
Well, we did it in the next episode after that. So again, to Jake's point, this is the guy we saw in Boston and slightly in 2020. This is that guy. He's second in baseball in WAR right now, like Kevin just said, trailing Machado by 0.1. This is what we traded for.
His isolated power, which is going to get updated on FanGraphs, will probably go up again, but it's like 300. That's the highest he's ever had in his career. And ISO just means you just look at the raw power. So thus far, 300 ISO is GOAT status. Mookie Betts is just hitting for all the power right now.
He's got 50 runs already.
Yeah, it's bonkers. 50 runs, 50 games. He's scoring 1 run a game. Edwin Rios had a pretty good month of May as well. Finished with an 892 OPS. He had 6 home runs, 15 RBIs. Guy is striking out a lot and appears to be cooling off a little bit, but pointed out.
He can't hit the curveball.
Big man Rios. Trey Turner had a great month as well. Slash line of 313, 375 on base, 504 slugging, 4 home runs, 24 RBIs. I think he had 6 steals as well. Justin Turner also had a solid month, 773 on base plus slugging, 3 home runs, 20 RBIs. And Freddie Freeman, 891 OPS, 15 doubles, 1 home run, 20 RBIs. My only critique of Freeman is that I would like to see him hit a few more home runs because I think he's only up to 4. And that's a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah, I would like to see him come through a little bit more with runners on too. I just felt like there was a couple of moments, especially in this Pirates series, where a big knock from him would have really helped, or at least a fly ball. And nobody was coming through in that series. So I guess that's sort of the overall point there. But overall, you can't really complain about this team and what they've accomplished so far. They are the tops in the National League. They will separate themselves from the rest of the pack even more. It's just unfortunate that they had a weak Pirates team that they could have separated so much more from the Padres, as the Padres can't seem to score a run when Manny Machado is not at the plate. So that's the only drawback to this Pirates series, but I'm glad that it's over with and we're on to the Mets.
Yeah. I want to get to some guys that sucked now during May. Obviously, Max Muncy headlines that 164 batting average. The Dodgers had to place him on the IL. They're claiming that he aggravated his elbow when he bumped into the wall trying to make a catch. I'm not buying that. I think he's been playing hurt all season. There's just no way.
What wall was he crashing into?
Or the screen. It was whatever went at third base. But I know you guys elaborated a lot on Max Muncy last week, so we don't really need to get into that. But now that he's been officially placed on the IL, I think he's going to be out for at least a month, dating back to when they actually placed him on the IL. With that injury, they added Kevin Pillar, who we've now seen 3 or 4 games out of. A little bit underwhelming at the plate. The glove is definitely there. It's something they've needed for sure in left field. I like that aspect of his game, but got to see the bat do a little bit more.
Yeah, got his first hit as a Dodger tonight.
Looked like he tweaked a hamstring, though, so I don't know how much we'll be seeing of him in the next couple weeks.
That is true. We'll bring that up later in the show. Cody Bellinger, underwhelming, 233 batting average, no power whatsoever. Chris Taylor, 229, and then Will Smith hit 217. Those were the guys that stood out to me. Any name that I didn't bring up, that means they did average, so you're not in the bad spot right now.
Hanser Alberto's been a little underwhelming, even though he notched his first home run of the season the other night. It's just he's supposed to be the guy that they bring in against lefties and be that Albert Pujols type of role when there's a left-hander on the mound. It just feels like Pujols was way more effective as in that role last season as opposed to Alberto so far this season.
Yeah. I his clubhouse value is clearly there.
Yeah.
But on-field production has not been there whatsoever, like at all. Swung at ball 4 and 5 today. Chris Taylor was getting a lot of the brunt for trying to go to third there. But if Alberto just kept the bat on his shoulder, we wouldn't be in that situation to begin with. So food for thought.
Alberto's been more like Alberto Callaspo as opposed to Albert Pujols so far for the Dodgers. Pretty underwhelming.
Well done, Kevin.
Sheldon Noisy is the bottom, and then you go up one. There's Hanser Alberto so far. Got to see more from him. Otherwise, in a month or two, I'll be talking about the Dodgers got to DFA him and get someone that's actually productive, because you could be the coolest guy in the clubhouse, but if you're not producing on the field, I don't care. Some pitchers that have been phenomenal month of May. Tony Gonsolin headlines that. He finished with a 1.93 ERA. He went 4-0. He's been there like the blood. He's been the guy to stop the bleeding, and he's the one next up against the Mets. So we'll talk about that series in a couple of moments. But Gonsolin headlines the Dodgers starting pitchers. Tyler Anderson, I'll take my L. Hopefully I don't jinx him now, but he went 4-0 in the month of May, had a 3.09 ERA. Andrew Friedman just continues to be the wizard at finding guys that no one wants, and then turning them into these legit arms. And then Julio Urias, despite going 2-4, still finished with a 3.09 ERA, just not getting the run support like he did last season. And then relievers, Evan Phillips was awesome, 0.90 ERA.
That's a closer candidate right there.
Yency Almonte, also an 0.90 ERA. And then we talked about the struggling Kimbrel. And then Phil Bickford was not too good either, 4.63 ERA, and he got sent down to AAA. And I just saw online he gave up like 3 runs in OKC. So I don't know what's going on with Bickford.
I think it was just a casualty of too many pitchers. I think that's all it was. He has options. Nowhere to put David Price, who's still on the roster, which befuddles me, frankly, at this point. But
yeah,
Ferguson's going to be back tomorrow. Grove is going to be sent out, and Ferguson's going to be back tomorrow. I'd imagine Bickford comes back once his 15-day window is up as well.
I don't know why Michael Grove was up in the first place. He's really not ready for the majors, and that was...
Yeah, he never pitched in AAA. It's kind of an unfair assignment, you know?
That was exposed tonight, even though it was in the later innings. He gave up 3 runs. All right. I'm excited about this series. The Dodgers host 4 games against the New York Mets. This is my National League Championship series right here. I'm calling it now. The Mets have the best record in the National League. They're 35-17. Their offense is second behind the Dodgers in all of baseball. They got second best OPS 750. They got the second most runs scored. They're hitting for power. I mean, Pete Alonso, 13 home runs, 47 RBIs, 892 OPS. And then you talked about Lindor being the National League Player of the Week. Well, he's 10 for his last 27, which is a 370 batting average. He drove in 11 runs. Mark Canha, I like him. He's hitting 299 on the season. Jeff McNeil's hitting 318. Starling Marte, 286. And then there's a case that Brandon Nimmo is the all-star center fielder right now, 376 on base. They just have a lot of bats, and they're all producing.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting test for the Dodgers. Probably their biggest test so far this season, the best competition that they faced so far this season. And for a series like the Pirates, I'm not saying that the Dodgers didn't get up for that series, but you get up for this series. This Mets series is something that you get up for, and it's something that the Mets are going to get up for, and it is going to be I hope a really good series. And I hope that the Dodgers kind of get that bad taste out of their mouth after getting swept at home, that they take it to the Mets at home. They have home field advantage. You know, the stadium's going to be packed. There are a lot of New York Mets fans that live out here in LA, a lot of New York LA transplants, if you will. So that the Mets will be well represented at Dodger Stadium. And I'm expecting a really great series. It would be great if the Dodgers are able to take 3 out of 4. That may be a tall task, but I think that it's very, very doable.
They're going to face some tough pitchers too. You got Chris Bassett in there, Peterson in there, and Taijuan Walker, who I believe last year gave the Dodgers a bit of trouble too. I think the fourth one is TBD, so we'll see what happens. But we've seen it the past couple of years. The Dodgers tend to play up or down to their competition. So I think the Dodgers will get up for this series. They'll put this one in the rearview mirror and pretend it never happened, which is what should happen.
Yeah, the first game of the series is Taijuan Walker, 2.83 ERA early on in the season. He'll face Tony Gonsolin. The final game is projected to be Trevor Williams, who ironically used to be a Pirate. He'll face Julio Urias. In the middle, we got Chris Bassett against Tyler Anderson and David Peterson against Walker Buehler. And it's pretty amazing that the Mets have been able to hold it together despite not having Jacob deGrom throw an inning for them this season. And then they lost Max Scherzer probably a couple weeks ago. He'll be out 6 to 8 weeks with an oblique injury, which kind of bums me out because I really did want to see Max Scherzer return to Dodger Stadium in the opposing uniform. And it would have been interesting to see if Dodgers fans gave him
they would have booed him mercilessly.
I think so too.
Yeah,
and I'm going to the game on Friday, so that would have been sick.
Would you have booed him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't take the ball in game 6. Come on.
Yeah.
That was it. That was what we got you for, was this moment right here. And you couldn't rise to the occasion. We needed him. And then also it kind of screwed Walker Buehler for this season, I think.
Well,
yeah, I agree.
Not that one move, but I'm just saying it's like the domino effect of it. They worked Walker Buehler. They worked him as much as they could, and he's having a tough time rebounding this year.
It's just the fastball. Once he gets the fastball on wraps, he's back on track.
Maybe Eddie Rosario broke his fastball because if you recall in that final at bat, Buehler threw nothing but cutters and fastballs.
I remember.
Dodgers killed the Mets last season. They went 6-1, and they absolutely dominated them. I know they destroyed Rich Hill in one of the outings.
Yeah, but they weren't as good last year.
They didn't have to face deGrom because he was injured. But yeah, it's definitely a different Mets team, as I mentioned earlier. I think this is their biggest competition in the National League. I think the Brewers are good. And then in terms of the NL West, it's like the Padres and Giants are just both okay, but I don't think either of them are a true threat to the Dodgers. The only reason they're hanging around is because the Dodgers got swept by the Pirates. And I don't think you should read too much into that sweep to begin with. I think the Dodgers are just kind of tired. They went on a long road trip, which we didn't really, they're supposed to play 30 games in 31 days or something. Yep. And we're near the tail end of that. Thankfully they got some off days coming up. So I agree with you guys. I think they're going to get up for this series. They know that this is potentially a playoff matchup. So the Dodgers got to prove, and they want to prove that they're still the cream of the crop in the National League.
I don't think there's too much to read into that series per se, but there were a lot of little red flags that I think need to be addressed at some point. We talked about the base running. The defense also needs to be tightened up, and the Craig Kimbrel question. So there were a lot of glaring things that were revealed. I'm glad early on so that Andrew Friedman can course correct and maybe add some reinforcements here and there to make this team even better. But yeah, those are things that definitely, raise my suspicions of they just need to clean some things up.
Just clean it up. Just figure it out. Tighten it up. They will. I'm not concerned about the base running or the defense.
I'm not concerned about the base running. I'll always be a little concerned about the defense, but I think they will tighten it up later on in the season. Moving into a miscellaneous question from Matt at DubQuacker7. Is Tony Gonsolin or Tyler Anderson headlining our trade package for Juan Soto?
I don't know how to answer that one.
I can answer this pretty passionately. First of all, they're not going to trade Gonsolin this season. That would make no sense. I don't think they'd trade Anderson either. The Dodgers aren't going to trade for Juan Soto, period. The asking price would just cripple their farm system for years. And I don't care if Juan Soto is viewed as the best player by a lot of fans. He's not going to make the Dodgers better right now. This team doesn't need another superstar. What they need is depth.
Also, if you take Gonsolin and Tyler Anderson out of the rotation, it's like, what do you have left?
Mitch White.
Oh, God. So
hype that up, dude. Mitch White pitched fucking good today, Kevin. He made one mistake. He hung the shit out of that curveball to Reynolds. Other than that, if he doesn't hang that shit, he makes a pitch, 5 innings, 1 run. What more can you ask?
Well, he didn't do that, and he has almost a 5 ERA for the season. So
he's close to being a legitimate option.
I've yet to see him step up against a good team.
He doesn't get any opportunities.
He faced the Phillies. The Phillies.
Well, if we trade Anderson and Gonsolin, he will.
Oh, God, yeah. So the point being about this Juan Soto trade nonsense is they'd have to give up the Ryan Pepios, the Bobby Millers, the Miguel Vargas, and it's not the superstar that will make or break your team. I mean, look at the Nationals. They have Juan Soto and nobody else, and they're bad. You got to have the depth.
But because if you put Juan Soto on the Dodgers, it's
but you have to give up everybody.
Well, if you're giving up a bunch of prospects, you're not giving up a lot of major league talent. But they're not. I don't think they're going to trade him, and especially I don't think they're going to trade him to the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers' chance at Soto is when he's a free agent.
Doesn't he have 3 more years of control?
I think it's this year and 2 more. So I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's going to be like a $500+ million player. They don't need him.
I think so too.
I mean, look at Mike Trout. He's gone nowhere. He's got Ohtani on his team. He's got Rendon. They're going nowhere. It's not the superstar outfielder. It's the pitching that wins, and that's what the Nationals would try to steal from the Dodgers. So give me all the pitchers. That's all.
The Dodgers need pitching for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they drafted 20 of them in that draft. They drafted 20 straight pitchers in that draft.
But I mean, now.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, besides probably getting a bullpen arm at the deadline, if things continue at the pace that they currently are, this team starts to just tail off. One trade target that I actually would like to see the Dodgers pursue is Kike Hernandez.
Oh God!
What?
They need someone.
Oh my God!
The Kike Hernandez statue. First of all, he is clutch in the postseason, but that's not why I'm actually saying they need a guy because he's clutch. They need the depth.
Talk about pitching.
They need the depth because right now, look at who we're playing every day. Edwin Rios, who's starting to cool off. Alberto's been useless. Kevin Pillar might be hurt. He wasn't that great with the bat anyways. They actually need a guy that they can plug into second base, shortstop, and the outfield on a consistent basis and know that they're going to provide productive at-bats because I think Edwin Rios had to play 11 consecutive games.
All right, I got a trade proposal for the Red Sox. David Price for Kike Hernandez.
Straight up?
Straight up.
Why would the Red Sox do that?
I don't know. I was mostly just kidding.
Yeah.
Relive the 2018 World Series glory.
And my biggest fear also, this is more contingent on if Max Muncy isn't able to return. Who's going to play third base every day? You got Justin Turner, and then who else? Why not have
Alberto?
Exactly. That's my point. If you get someone like Kike who can play left field, now all of a sudden you have more opportunities for Chris Taylor to play third base, and you can have Justin Turner at DH.
Yeah, I mean, I get it for depth purposes, but just whatever. He would fit, I guess, but I don't think he's a huge difference maker. The defense would help, though.
Be huge in the clubhouse.
Yep, I guess.
And he's a fan favorite. Yeah, I mean, the fans
I know that.
Just freaking freak out.
Also an expiring contract, so there's no long-term obligations.
Yep.
All right, Jake, do your thing.
I am the captain now. Okay. All right, guys. So this is a fun little thing. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but let's just pull this up. All right. So this is MLB Pickle. and it is a kind of a Wordle game where each day you have to guess a random current MLB player, and each guess will tell you kind of where you are and how close you are, and I'll explain as we go through. But to start, we just need a random, any player, a pitcher, batter, doesn't matter, has to be current in the major leagues right now.
Okay, do you want to tell everybody who's listening what we see on our screen?
Okay, so what we see on the screen is you get 9 guesses, and then it'll pop up with the name of the player, the team that they play for, the league or division that they're in, what hand do they bat with, what hand do they throw with, what country they're born in, how old they are, and what position they typically play. And I'll narrate it as we go along. So we just need a random baseball player to start.
Josh Rojas.
All right, Josh Rojas,
That was really
outfielder
quick.
for the Diamondbacks. All right, so Josh
wow.
Rojas was not the correct player. However, this player that we're trying to guess is in the NL West. He throws with his right hand. He is American, so he's born in the USA. And those are the only right things that we have so far.
Blake Trinan.
Okay, Blake Trinan. All right.
Ooh.
So before we get the next guess, the team is correct. The Dodgers are correct. The NL West, obviously. This player bats right, throws right, is an American. He's not 33 years old, but he's within 2 years of that age.
Okay, Kevin. So we need
a couple of years of that age, and he is a relief pitcher.
Okay, Kevin. We need a right-handed reliever on the Dodgers.
Daniel Hudson.
Daniel Hudson for the win.
Sniped. I feel like we killed that.
Yeah, you guys did. And it says, good job. Today's player was Daniel Hudson. You can share your results. I actually did this earlier. I got it in 4. I started with Brandon Crawford. And then I got to the Dodgers somehow. Oh, I guessed Justin Turner. And then I guessed Craig Kimbrel. And then I got Daniel Hudson.
Okay.
So each day they come out with a new player. So tomorrow,
yeah, it's like Wordle, different. But just baseball.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's also Pirtle, which is the NBA version based off of Jakob Pirtle.
It's random.
We can try this again next week and see how hot we continue.
Exactly. So anyway, thought that was fun.
All right, a couple other things, and then we can probably close out the show. We're going to be recording after one of the games, but I might as well bring it up next week, or I'll bring it up now because this will happen next week. After the Mets, the Dodgers face the Chicago White Sox, and while they're in the other league, it is worth noting that they will face a couple former Dodgers, which include Joe Kelly, potentially out of the bullpen, who's been horrific so far. 9.53 ERA, a 2.47 WHIP. I think the Dodgers made the right move moving off him. And then, of course, in the Craig Kimbrel trade, AJ Pollock, assuming he doesn't pull a hamstring like David likes to poke fun at, also off to a slow start.
I'm not poking fun at it. I'm just being accurate. That's what happens.
3 home runs, 11 RBIs, 226 batting average, 619 OPS. But I feel like Pollock was off to this type of start last season for the Dodgers and then got pretty on fire. But I mean, the White Sox, let's be honest, they're underachieving big time. I think we were all pretty high on them. I think I picked them. Jake might have picked them to win the American League. They're a 500 team right now. They got some good bats. Obviously, Jose Abreu's an elite first baseman.
There's time to turn it around. The AL Central is just wide open.
Yeah, they might be dodging Tim Anderson. He was placed on the IL recently, but knowing the Dodgers' luck, he'll come back in the nick of time.
Destroy us.
Eloy Jimenez always seems to be hurt. I don't even know where his health status lies. Pitching-wise, they got some good arms. I don't know how it's going to line up yet, but Dylan Cease seems like a guy who could give the Dodgers issues. They won't be facing Dallas Keuchel because he was recently DFA'd. and Lance Lynn's still on the IL, so I guess it's a wait and see.
Giolito, maybe.
Yeah, they might be facing him. Good point. He's a great starter as well. So we'll see what happens. It'll be a fun series. It's a potential World Series matchup if the White Sox can get their act together, but should be a lot regardless.
If Dodgers fans are upset or annoyed by Craig Kimbrel, just be glad you don't have Liam Hendricks. I mean, that guy is just, you can't trust it. That's the least trusted closer, I think, in baseball. I
Really?
Yes.
Well, Mark Melancon exists.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's worse than Hendricks. I mean,
I'm telling you, bro, he doesn't
most overpaid, yes,
and overrated.
I think Yankee fans would disagree with you.
Chapman, yeah, okay, I can listen to an argument, but I don't know. Every time I watch Liam Hendricks, he's always blowing a game.
Got 33 strikeouts over 22 innings pitched, but the whip is a tad high at 129.
How many blown saves so far?
3.32 ERA. Blown saves, he is 14 of 17.
You know who else might disagree with you, Jake? Atlanta Braves fans.
How many blown saves does Kenley have?
At least 3.
Yeah, well, Liam Hendricks has 3, and guess how many Craig Kimbrel has? 1.
I'm still taking Liam Hendricks over Craig Kimbrel. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm not.
He's not that
Are you kidding me?
You make it sound like
Craig Kimbrel is he is the active saves leader, and he's still good.
Debatable about the still good part, but I feel like
he is still good.
We already talked about it earlier. He has a 4.80 ERA.
I know he's not pitching well right now, but he is still good. Trust me on this. I don't know about
still good. You could look at the last 3-4 years. He's been pretty bad.
No, I'm in the middle of you guys. I think both of them are still good.
But I want to get back to Liam Hendricks because I don't think Jake is right whatsoever. This guy is a dog out of the pen. I mean, 2019, 85 innings pitched, 1.80 ERA.
2019, that's 3 years ago. Talk about now.
I'm moving on the trajectory. 2020, granted, shortened season, still 1.78 ERA. 2021, 71 innings pitched, 2.54 ERA, and he's already thrown basically 22 innings pitched this season. So the volume, I think the reason he's blowing saves is because he's high volume. This guy works a lot of innings, so he's more prone to giving up some blown saves.
I don't know, man. His career ERA as a reliever, 3.89. I don't know. Like, I don't trust him.
That's because looks like the first 2 years.
And the whip is bad too. His career whip is 1.215. That's not good.
I don't know. I wouldn't pay him what he's getting, but I'm still taking him.
Absolutely not.
I knew the White Sox set themselves up with that, but hey, the Phillies, I'm sure, would gladly take him right now because they can't hold a game to save their lives.
It's a unmitigated disaster yet again in Philadelphia.
Boy, Knebel, Jesus.
And he's like the best that he's not even the main problem over there. It's everybody else is worse than him too.
And he's not great either.
Yeah, I mean, not to bash our own Dodgers closer, but Kimbrel, 6.53 ERA, 2019, 2020, 5.28 ERA, 2021, 2.26, but we know when he went on the White Sox.
Electric with the Cubs.
Yeah, with the Cubs.
He was bad with the White Sox because they had him setting up Liam Hendricks.
It's weird that he can't do that.
Well, that's the thing with closers. That's always been the case.
Maybe these modern day closers, but
the only one that's really been able to do it is Blake Trinan, where doesn't matter where you put him in the game.
He just goes to work. Lunch pail, hard hat kind of guy, just goes to work. Doesn't matter what inning it is.
Yeah, it could be the third inning for all we care.
Yeah, we miss him so much, man. We need him back. I'm glad they signed him to an extension though.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And Heaney and Kershaw are on the way back too.
Yes. I was going to bring that up. I think Kershaw is going to do a rehab outing as early as Saturday, and then Andrew Heaney also a rehab outing in the works. So the reinforcements are coming. Any other baseball things you guys want to talk about? Otherwise, I'm moving over to my out of left field.
Let's hear it.
Just want to say that Craig Kimbrel's career ERA 2.24, WHIP under one. Okay.
Not bashing the career. He's the best closer arguably of this era, but the last 3 years, he's not the same guy that he once was.
But I'm saying because the body of work is there and we know how good he can be. That's why I trust him more than I trust Liam Hendricks.
Yeah, it's fair. I don't agree, but it's fair.
I don't. It's more of a "what have you been doing for me lately" thing. But Kimbrel and Hendricks both got like the same contract anyway, so one deserved it more than the other, and that the one that deserved it is obviously Kimbrel.
Anyway, moving on.
All right, out of left field time. This has to do with my time in Italy. Italian time sucks. Let me just start off with that. Trying to follow a West Coast team while you're in Italy is next to impossible. The 110.
What are they supposed to do about that?
The 110 times start.
You're literally hating on their placement on the earth.
I am. The 110 start times were a blessing because that was at least 10 p.m. Italian time, so I could watch those games. But any game that started at like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, forget about it. I was dead asleep. I missed those. There were some times when I would wake up at like 6 or 7 in the morning and the Dodgers were still playing. That was kind of weird, but I mean, at least I got to watch the second half of the game. And then MLB.TV doesn't exist out there. They don't show the games. You have to use illegal sites to follow. So then the more important hot topic here, this is going to push some buttons, but Italian pizza is overrated. I'm not talking pasta. I'm not talking other things, but you'll find better pizza in New York City and Los Angeles than you will in Italy.
I don't think that's an insane take.
I mean,
that might offend a lot of Italians, but I tried 5 or 6 different
you're
pizza
going
places.
in on Italy right now.
Tried 5 or 6 different pizza places, and none of them were that great. I get way better pizza out here in LA.
Well, the pasta in Italy is unmatched.
Yes, the pasta is unmatched. They have way better pasta. They have way better olive oil. The weather was basically competitive with Los Angeles. They were both, it's just 80 and sunny every day. Rome is awesome. You can't beat the history there. But yeah, I just wanted to dig into the pizza because I'm a big pizza guy. I'm a pizza savant. There's baseball savant, and then there's pizza savant, which I run. And
you can't be a pizza savant and have CPK on your like top list, Kevin. This is not how this works.
You could probably find the audio, but somewhere back in one of these old episodes, I bashed CPK, called them overpriced.
Okay, overpriced is irrelevant to this
quality.
discussion.
The pizza is not good. We were talking
when we did our restaurant bracket like 3 years ago. You were the one personally pushing CPK's ass through the tournament.
Yeah, because it's a chain restaurant.
You had both of your hands on their ass cheeks, pushing them through
because chain restaurants suck. That was like the whole joke of the entire Madness tournament. We go through all the chains and you realize
I don't know. I'm gonna have to review the tape on that one.
Suck.
CPK's got bomb barbecue chicken pizza.
It's okay. It's fine. It's not like amazing. It's fine.
I think
very average.
All the sit-down chain restaurants, yeah, CPK probably does offer the best pizza because everywhere else sucks. Round Table was in that mix, lame. Olive Garden doesn't even have. Olive Garden, I think, does have pizza, and theirs is complete ass.
But when you're there, you're family at least.
Yep.
I can't even think. Shakey's, I cannot stand that place. Mojo's might be the most overrated thing on this.
Never even heard of it.
Really?
Nope.
Shakey's, really?
No, Mojo's.
Yeah.
It's Mojo's, dude.
It's like potato wedges, basically.
All right.
Here's my out of left field. Urinals.
Great.
That's it. What if I was just like, that's it?
Yeah. How about them?
Urinals. I can't stand when there aren't any dividers. Okay. When they're all just wide open, just anybody, and they have it at Dodger Stadium. They have them at most sporting events where it's either they're all open or they've got that really just disgusting trough. They had that.
Those were hype back in the day.
They had that at the. They
Wrigley
had that.
still has them.
They had that at the Carrier Dome in Syracuse. Just gross. If I walk into a public restroom and that's the situation, either trough or dividerless urinals, I'm waiting for that stall. I don't care.
Oh my God.
Because
the place where people shit.
Don't care.
I'm with Kevin. I'm with Kevin on this. I would prefer the dividers, but most people observe the urinal etiquette where it's like, scattered, one empty, one empty, one. So as long as these people are making conscious decisions, it's fine.
Yeah, but at a packed stadium, they're going every one. So
yeah,
you just
got to keep your eyes front, man.
How insecure
just eyes front.
Turned off by dividerless urinals.
It's a mental thing. I can't pee when I'm standing next to someone. That's my whole issue. You go into the stall. It's like a little room. It's you block it all out, and you're able to go.
I hear you.
I will purposely wait for a urinal to avoid going into a stall. Like
you'd rather stand next to somebody?
If all the urinals are occupied and the stall is available, I ain't going in that smelly ass little closet. I am waiting for a urinal.
It's not.
If anyone wants to stare at my, you know what, then that's on them.
That's not what I'm worried about. It's a mental thing. It's just like if someone is next to me, I can't do it. Are you scared
you're gonna pee on someone's foot? What is going on here?
No,
you're not understanding, Kevin.
You're not understanding it.
It's like someone's watching, even though they're not.
Right, exactly.
There's pressure. There's pressure to pee.
And then
you get to that like 20-second mark with your dick in your hand. You still haven't peed, and then it gets even worse. You're like,
right.
Oh my
and
God,
you've got the whole line behind you. They're not happy because they're missing the game.
And the two dudes next to you are like, look at this idiot. He hasn't even peed yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's he doing?
Yeah, just standing there with his.
I can't relate. I don't know.
Anyway, I know that there are other people out there that are just like me.
Yep.
I will pee in public if I have to. I don't care. Let the world see it. If a dog can pee in public, then we are entitled to it too.
All right. So Kevin is a dog. That's basically what he's saying.
I am not going to do the idiot of the week this week. Instead, I'm going to do the winners and losers of the week. The winners of the week are Pirates, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and Johnny Depp for winning his defamation suit against Amber Heard. So congratulations to the Pirates of the world. And the losers of the week are us for having to watch that 3-game series against the Pirates. So technically, we are the idiots of the week, but I don't really feel good about calling myself an idiot of the week. So I'm just going to leave it at we are the losers of the week.
I would rather pee at a dividerless urinal than have to watch that series over again. How about that?
Yeah, that's clearly off of your last rant. That's saying something.
Yeah, 30 seconds versus probably a 10-hour commitment. Who wouldn't take that?
It's not just 30. I'll be there for a couple minutes.
Okay. Why don't you put an Excel spreadsheet together and let us know how many minutes you waste annually
on urinal standing?
Well, 0 because I don't go and use them.
All right, let's wrap it up, Kevin.
All right. Final thoughts time.
I mean, go ahead.
I was just going to say I'm excited for the Mets series just because it's the first big test for the Dodgers. It's the best team that they've faced so far, minus the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I think that this is going to be a fun series.
I do have a little bit of breaking news. Apparently, Kevin Pillar has dislocated his shoulder.
What? I thought it was his hamstring.
Well, apparently he popped it back in, I saw. So,
yeah, the headline is Kevin Pillar to have dislocated shoulder examined. And we know that Cody Bellinger had his shoulder dislocated, and that didn't end well for him. I don't think for Pillar it'll be as serious. But that could be an IL stint, which what does that mean? Does that mean it's Jake Lamb season?
I think he'll be fine, honestly. I thought it was a hamstring. It looked like a leg injury. So he's had issues with this shoulder in the past, and he's just kind of popped it back in and just kind of went with it. So I think he'll be okay.
I don't know. My final thoughts
what are your final? Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
this is the series where we need someone like Cody Bellinger, Will Smith, or Chris Taylor to actually finally do something. Mookie Betts has been carrying these sorry asses for far too long. So I want to see one of those guys I just named, in particular, Cody Bellinger, actually have a big series against a good team so that they can get the confidence rolling, because this is where the season really starts to kick into gear. April and May are kind of like spring training extended. Then it gets a little competitive. But June on, we're talking summer now. This is the neck. This is the thick of baseball. And this is probably their toughest opponent yet. So I want to see one of these guys get going. I also want to see Walker Buehler and Urias bounce back. I mean, Buehler has 6 wins, but he hasn't looked like the ace that he's supposed to be. And Urias has actually been fine overall, but I want to see him bounce back as well. So Dodgers starting pitchers got to get back on track. And Cody Bellinger or Will Smith, they need to have a big series.
My final thoughts is Dodgers going to take 3 out of 4 from the Mets. The Mets are frauds. I don't believe in them. I think they're a good baseball team, but when it comes down to winning big games, I don't think they have the stones.
All right. Anything else? And yeah, it looks like, David Vassay says IL is a possibility for Kevin Pillar. So we'll see what happens with that.
David Vassay of Navian water heaters.
Navi and tankless
water heaters. Yes, that David Vassay.
Yes. And he talks about Corona all the time too.
Yes, on his podcast.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Incline Dodgers podcast. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. This one will also be up on YouTube eventually. And give us a 5-star rating if you enjoy the content. Follow us on Twitter. That's where you can ask us questions as well. And we'll make sure to answer them. And we got some guests coming up. So hopefully that comes through, and excited to present that content to you guys. But in the meantime, have a great rest of your week. Let's kick some Mets ass. They are now the second worst fans in Major League Baseball, because I've moved the Houston Astros ahead of them in the power ranking. But Mets fans still suck, so keep that in mind.
Mark your calendars for June 16th for this podcast. That's all I'm going to say.